What if I told you that very soon our planet would be struck by a massive catastrophe? An enormous fiery ball of metal hurtling towards Earth at an insane speed and crashing into our atmosphere. You might think I'm talking about a doomsday scenario like a killer asteroid or something. But no, actually what I'm referring to is the International Space Station. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, the ISS is currently orbiting our planet. Does this mean the International Space Station is going to crash into Earth? If so, when will this happen and why is it happening? Well, don't worry, I've got all the details right here for you today. But before we get into all of that, be sure to hit that like button for more videos just like this one. And let's begin. The International Space Station is humanity's first attempt at a habitable artificial satellite. Since it was launched into low Earth orbit in November of 2000, it has continuously orbited our planet at speeds of up to 8 kilometers per second and altitudes of up to 400 kilometers. In total, the ISS makes one orbit around the Earth every 90 minutes. Over the past 22 years, the ISS has successfully facilitated over 3,000 research investigations from 108 different countries. This includes research in biology, biotechnology, chemistry, physics, and medicine. For example, the ISS has allowed scientists to study how living organisms behave in microgravity environments. This knowledge can then be applied back here on Earth, allowing us to better understand our world and improve the lives of those who live in it. However, the ISS is not immune to the passage of time, and its aging infrastructure is beginning to show signs of wear. As a result, NASA announced that the ISS will crash into the Earth sometime in 2030, marking the end of its operational life. So what exactly is happening here? Why does the ISS need to be decommissioned, and why is it crashing into the Earth? Well, over the past 2 decades, the ISS has been continuously operational without ever having a break. In fact, the ISS was first assembled in orbit back in November of 2000, and since then it has never once landed back down on Earth. Of course, the astronauts who work on the station do return home from time to time, but they are then immediately replaced by new crew members, who continue the important work taking place on the ISS. As such, the ISS is currently the longest continuously operated spacecraft in history, but with age comes wear and tear. And unfortunately, there really isn't any way for the ISS to take a much-needed break and receive the repairs it needs. After all, it is constantly orbiting the Earth at speeds of up to 8 kilometers per second. This means that any repairs or upgrades need to be performed while the ISS is still in orbit. This has already proven to be a difficult challenge for NASA and other space agencies who have been forced to perform regular maintenance on the aging infrastructure while it is still in motion. And as the years have gone on, this task has only become more and more difficult. In recent years, the ISS has come under increased scrutiny from NASA and other government agencies due to safety concerns. According to NASA officials, the ISS is constantly dodging pieces of debris that are left over from previous space missions. In fact, it is estimated that there are over 128 million objects larger than a mustard seed that are currently orbiting the Earth and posing a potential threat to the ISS. Because of this, the ISS must perform regular reboost maneuvers in order to maintain its orbit and avoid a catastrophic collision with space debris. These debris can range from old satellites to chunks of rock that have been blasted off of the Earth by human activity. In fact, one of the biggest sources of space junk is paint flecks that have been blasted off of the ISS itself. Over time, these flecks have accumulated in low Earth orbit and have created a dangerous environment for the ISS. The ISS spends a significant portion of its operational time maneuvering through space in order to avoid a collision with these pieces of debris. While this has been relatively easy to do in the past, it is becoming increasingly difficult as more and more debris accumulates in orbit. This is especially true considering the ISS is approaching the age of 30. At this point, it is simply too great of a risk to continue operating the ISS beyond 2030. That's because as more and more debris accumulates in low Earth orbit, the chances of a collision will increase. And if the ISS were to be struck by a piece of debris traveling at 8 kilometers per second, it could easily be knocked out of orbit and hurtle towards the Earth. Of course, this poses a huge risk for anyone or anything that happens to be in the path of the ISS. And given that the ISS is traveling at speeds of up to 8 kilometers per second, it would cause catastrophic damage to anything in its path. Because of this, NASA and other space agencies have decided that it is best to decommission the ISS before it becomes a hazard to those on Earth. Of course, there are other reasons why the ISS is being retired. For example, the ISS is currently orbiting the Earth at an altitude of roughly 400 kilometers above the surface. However, due to atmospheric drag, the ISS is slowly losing altitude and will eventually reach the point where it can no longer support human life. In addition to this, the ISS is also showing signs of wear and tear from over 2 decades of use. The station's solar panels are beginning to degrade, and its thermal systems are struggling to maintain a habitable temperature. As such, NASA and other space agencies have determined that it is no longer cost-effective to continue operating the ISS beyond 2030. According to NASA, the ISS costs approximately $4 billion per year to operate and provides limited capabilities for scientific research. As a result, NASA has decided to invest its resources in new and more advanced space exploration projects, such as the Artemis program, which aims to establish a permanent human presence on the Moon. All in all, the decision to decommission the ISS is a difficult one. On the one hand, the station has made significant contributions to our understanding of the universe and has enabled countless scientific discoveries. On the other hand, the ISS is aging and it is becoming increasingly difficult and expensive to maintain. Ultimately, NASA and other space agencies have decided that it is time to move on from the ISS and focus their resources on new and more exciting projects. But even though the ISS will be retired in 2030, its legacy will live on for many years to come. The knowledge and experience gained from operating the ISS will be invaluable as we look to establish a permanent human presence on the Moon and eventually on Mars. What are your thoughts on the ISS being decommissioned? Do you think it is the right decision? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, before I go, I want to quickly talk about the future of space exploration. As we've discussed, the ISS is nearing the end of its operational life, but there are exciting plans underway to replace it with even more advanced space stations. One of the most promising projects is the Lunar Gateway Station, which will serve as a hub for exploration of the Moon and beyond. Another exciting development is the growing interest in commercial space stations, which could provide a wider range of services and capabilities than ever before. It is truly an exciting time to be alive, and I am so grateful to be able to witness these incredible advancements in space exploration. If you share my passion for space and you want to learn more about these exciting developments, then I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Every week one publish new videos that take a deep dive into the latest news and discoveries in space exploration. I would love to have you join our community of space enthusiasts, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Now, speaking of amazing space videos, click the video on screen now to watch one of these videos. I promise you won't regret it.